On November 3rd, 2011, America experienced one of her greatest calamities. I probably don't need to tell you what it is. You probably remember. Somewhere in western Kentucky, Dippin Dots filed for bankruptcy. What was meant to be the ice cream of the future was about to be a thing of the past. In an instant, all the color drained from the sky, birdsong slipped into a minor key, and we all prepared to wave goodbye to the taste of hope, joy, and dots forever. But now it's 12 years later, and they're still around. My outside correspondent Amy basically makes a daily pilgrimage, and the dots are as rainbowy and delicious as they ever were. But how are they still here? How did we get so lucky? Turns out the answer is fake meat. Well, that's the headline, but it's a bit more complicated, and it begins in 1987 at Kentucky's Alltech Biotechnology. There, a gentleman by the name of Kurt Jones, that's not him, just an image of a human man, was researching technology to make flash frozen animal feed. The story goes that he was explaining this tech to his family over dinner when he had one of history's great realizations. If you applied the same process he was researching for piggy snacks to ice cream mix, it would make fun little ice cream pellets. He tried it out in his parents' garage, and upon Dippin Dots' official launch in 1988, they became the most exciting thing to ever come out of a parent's garage. That is, until my middle school post-punk band hit the scene. But how exactly do the dots get made? Regular ice cream gets churned until it's about -1.1 degrees Celsius or about 30 degrees America, and in the process, a lot of air and ice crystals get into the mix to create the icy, creamy, airy texture you know and love. Dippin Dots start from a similar base of dairy, sweetener, and flavorings, but never gets churned. Instead, they drip the base into a vat of liquid nitrogen at about -184 degrees Celsius or -300 degrees Freedom. When the base hits the nitrogen, it freezes instantly without taking in air or ice crystals, creating a tiny, dense, slow-melting bead of deliciousness that has to be stored at roughly 50 below 0 Celsius or Fahrenheit to keep its dotty shape. Dippin Dots opened a bunch of stores and became a staple at theme parks, zoos, stadiums, basically a force multiplier anywhere you were already having fun. The country smiled. But by 2011, Dippin Dots was frowning. The recession had hit them pretty bad, they owed like $12 million to a bunch of people, and the court froze $20.2 million of their assets, which would usually be good news for an ice cream company, but was bad news here. In 2012, two guys, Scott and Mark Fisher, bought Dippin Dots as some kind of father-son bonding thing, and it cost them less than a used super yacht, but required a similar amount of work to keep afloat. Here's the thing. Innovating in the food world is hard. Dippin Dots had rethought ice cream, but people were trying to reinvent the meal in other parts of the market too. Companies like Beyond Meat, founded in 2009, and Impossible Foods, founded in 2011, wanted to make plant-based meats that approximated the real thing, but it was proving difficult. Replicating the texture of a juicy, fatty burger without the naturally occurring fats present throughout hunks of flesh is tough. If only you could have some kind of oil bead, like a miniature pellet of frozen plant-based fat you could put in your fake burger that would melt when you cooked it and help create that texture. See where I'm heading here? Post-sale, Dippin Dots created a new lifeline for their business. It wasn't selling more ice cream dots, though they sold a bunch, it was finding more uses for their patented flash freezing process. So along with flash freezing oil to make little fat beads for plant-based meats, they also did some work for pharma companies and, in an homage to their origins, animal feed suppliers. Basically, if anyone needed high volumes of flash frozen little beads of something, or a first step for freeze drying, they could all call Dippin Dots, or more specifically, Dippin Dots Cryogenics LLC. Yep, that's right, they kept the Dippin Dots branding for all of this stuff. The side hustle was super successful. They opened up a giant new facility to handle all the new production, provided flash freezing equipment to customers around the world, and were able to weather the pandemic despite shutdowns at theme parks, zoos, and other attractions, the backbone of their ice cream business. In 2022, the Fishers sold Dippin Dots, which they bought for a measly $12.7 million a decade prior, for a full $222 million. By one estimate, enough money to put on the entire Eras tour twice. So where are they now? Well, the Fishers sold Dippin Dots to J&J Snack Foods Corp., the conglomerate that also owns Super Pretzel and Icy. Now they're running a company called Cryogenics Processors LLC to expand cryogenics use in non-ice cream industries. Also, unfortunately, the younger one is up to this, so the cryogenics aren't really the first thing I associate with him anymore. In more charming news, Kurt Jones has 56 LinkedIn endorsements for food and left Dippin Dots in 2015 to sell frozen, pebbleized coffee and creamer, which, man, I want to trust him, but that can't possibly be good, right? Meaning, all the key players in this story have left Dippin Dots but are basically still making Dippin Dots. So yeah, Dippin Dots are a novelty snack food from the 80s, but today they're actually all around you, if you know where to look. For $6, Dippin Dots will give you access to exactly one small cup of tasty ice cream nuggets that you can enjoy for a few minutes. But if you want to spend even less than that and get heaps of tasty content nuggets you can enjoy for hours upon hours, you should check out this video's sponsor, Nebula. Nebula is a platform I founded with some of my creator friends a few years ago, but beyond that, it's a streaming service I absolutely love to watch, and I think you will too. It takes the creators that have proven themselves on YouTube, generating huge audiences while working on a small budget, and gives them the budget to do bigger and better projects more frequently. For example, you've got Wendover's series The Logistics of X, about the logistics of things like search and rescue and ski resorts. You've got Lindsay Ellis, who by the way only releases on Nebula these days, and her video about the rise, fall, and rises again of the mayor of Flavortown, Guy Fieri. You've got Neo's series Underexposure, which is unbelievably well produced, diving deep into subjects like the Tenerife disaster, the Bin Laden raid, and the investigation into Flight MH17. And then in addition to these fantastic videos, all the Nebula creators release their videos early and ad-free, including Half as Interesting. It was designed from the ground floor by creators to create the best viewing experience for our audiences, so we think you'll like it. Over 650,000 people have signed up so far, and our data shows that they actually actively watch. This isn't another streaming service that people sign up to and forget about. You can sign up right now by clicking the button on screen or heading to nebula.tv/HAI, which will get you $20 off an annual subscription, bringing the cost down to a measly $2.50 a month.